now go into our regular scheduled meeting, council meeting. Prior to us going into this meeting, if you have a cell phone, we ask that you would put it on silent, off, or mute at this time. Yes. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. Prior to the commencement of this meeting, I'd like to make the following announcement, and that is that based upon the COVID-19 pandemic, the city is live streaming their meeting via Facebook, as I understand it. In addition, the city has advertised the meeting to be conducted in such a manner and has provided for the public to comment via email and via a call-in number. The call-in number for this week is 610-447-7700, extension 7951. And that would conclude my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. At this time, we'll be led in prayer by Madam Clerk, followed by the prayer, our Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk.
O God of might, wisdom and justice, through whom authority is rightly administered, laws enacted and judgment decreed, assist us, we beseech thee, that this city council may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to thy people over whom we preside. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
And ratepayers for more than 40 years with the revenue generated by the ratepayers of Chester, Pennsylvania.
Well, I don't think that myself and council can answer that question, Mr. Solicitor. That's something that, a question that has to be answered by the authority itself.
I agree. Number two, is the previous revenue generated by the ratepayers of the city of Chester to the Chester Water Authority payable retroactively? I'm not sure I understand that question.
Me either. I'm going to pass that one on to you, Mr. Solicitor.
Three, is the Chester Water Authority somehow exempt from paying revenue to the city of Chester?
Do we receive any revenue?
Sorry, say that a question again?
Is the Chester Water Authority somehow exempt from paying revenue to the city of Chester?
Exempt as taxes? No.
I'm not aware of any legal exemption, Your Honor. I believe that's a voluntary choice or not. If so, who determines whether the Chester Water Authority pays revenue to the city of Chester, Pennsylvania? That would be the Chester Water Authority at this point.
Just so Mrs. Daniels understands, there was a piece of legislation passed some time ago. I do know that the authority is now, because of the legislation that was put forth some years ago, only able to pay organization, including this city government, couldn't be no more than $1,000 because of the legislation that was passed some years ago.
And prior to that, Your Honor, it was
Correct.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Are there any more?
In addition, we do have a call-in number 610-447-7700, extension 4951, if anyone wants to call in any questions concerning agenda items only. Hearing no call, Your Honor.
No calls? Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Madam Clerk.
Resolution, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby ratify the actions of March 30th, 2020, which required at will and officers and employees, as further detailed on the attached list, be placed on a modified work schedule or laid off in an effort to decrease the financial implications that have negatively affected the city's ability to operate during the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Jacobs? Mayor Kirkland?
Yes.
Resolution, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby ratify the recall of the following individual with an update of their employment status from laid off to a modified work schedule for no more than 20 hours per week, effective April 27, 2020. Peter Reichert in the Planning Department. Further, said recall is in accordance with the approval of the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Jacobs? Mayor Kirkland?
Yes.
Resolution, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby authorize the Department of Accounts and Finance to refund the stated sums to the listed individuals on the attached sheet, which represents reimbursement for the cancellation of events in the community room due to COVID-19 disaster declaration.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland?
Yes.
Resolution, whereas federal regulations require a written agreement between the City of Chester and the Chester Economic Development Authority regarding the rights and responsibilities of the parties in the execution of the Community Development Block Grant Program and other related programs. And whereas a cooperation agreement by and between the City of Chester and the Chester Economic Development Authority for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 has been prepared and is attached hereto, which sets forth the responsibilities and obligations of the parties in accordance with federal regulations. And whereas this matter has been reviewed and considered, now therefore the Council of the City of Chester does resolve, number one, that the cooperation agreement by and between the City of Chester and the Chester Economic Development Authority attached hereto is hereby approved. Number two, that Appendix 1 to the cooperation agreement attached and made a part of such agreement reflects the Community Development Block Grant known as CDBG program, the CDBG/CV program, and home program projects previously approved by City Council. Number three, that the mayor and or his designee is hereby authorized to execute the agreement and to take such steps as may be necessary to implement the intent of this resolution. And number four, that this cooperation agreement supersedes any and all cooperation agreements previously approved.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland?
Yes.
Resolution, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that the Stormwater Authority of the City of Chester is proposing to install porous panels at the following locations within the City of Chester. Number one, Upland Street between East 23rd to East 24th Street, the west side of roadway, 270 linear feet of porous concrete panels. And number two, East 24th Street between Upland and Madison Street, which will be 270 linear feet of porous panels. And number three, East 19th Street between Hyatt and Melrose Avenue, which will be 260 linear feet of porous panels. Further, the Chester Stormwater Authority shall comply with all of the following conditions outlined by the city engineer, and said conditions must be performed in a manner that is satisfactory to City Council. Number one, applicant reconstructs the ramp at 24th and Upland Street with full engineer design plans for the ramp are required. Number two, applicant completes a half-width mill and overlay of the roadway. Number three, porous panels will not be recommended in the above locations unless a full engineer design plan is provided, given the number of driveways and pedestrian activities. Number four, Stormwater Authority takes full responsibility for the maintenance and repair of panels or porous concrete. Number 5, applicant provides traffic control for continuous operation of the roadways and coordinates installation with the public works supervisor and the engineer. And number 6, applicant obtains a road opening, sidewalk, and curb permit from the City of Chester Streets.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
West,
Abstain.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution, whereas the following individual has requested a handicap parking zone. Frazier Fitzgerald, 1021 Parker Street, Chester, PA, 19013. Whereas after a thorough investigation by the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, it has been determined that the affordability met the required criteria and has a need for said handicap parking zone. Now therefore, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby authorize the proper city officials to install a handicap parking zone in the 1000 block of Parker Street in the City of Chester.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution approving an amendment to the fiscal year 2019 action plan to include projects being funded through the Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Program. Whereas the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, known as the CARES Act, Public Law 116 through 136, was signed by President Trump on March 27, 2020, to respond to the growing effects of the coronavirus public health crisis. And whereas the City of Chester received notification of Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus CDBG/CV funds in the amount of $751,681 to be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus. Amend the fiscal year 2019 action plan to include projects that will address the immediate needs of the Chester community. And whereas the City of Chester requested a waiver from the Department of Housing and Urban Development to reduce the public comment period in connection with the proposed plan amendment to no less than 5 days, and to use the process of a virtual public hearing on the proposed plan amendment in order to meet the requirement to limit public gatherings during the coronavirus public health crisis. And whereas the City of Chester has met the requirements and set forth above, now therefore the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby approve an amendment to the fiscal year 2019 action plan to include the following projects: Community Action Agency of Delaware County, administration of a short-term maximum of 3 months utility and rental assistance program for low and or moderate income households in the City of Chester affected by the coronavirus pandemic in the amount of $400,000. Utility assistance will not exceed $1,000 per household. Rental assistance will not exceed $3,000 per household. The Chester Police Department, equipment and supplies to address the effects of the coronavirus in the amount of $75,672.40. The Chester Fire Department, equipment, specialized vehicle, and supplies to address the effects of the coronavirus in the amount of $75,672.40. Entrepreneur Works Fund, administration of a micro-enterprise grant program to provide grants not to exceed $5,000 for working capital to Chester micro-enterprises of 5 or fewer employees, at least one of whom is an employee, affected by the coronavirus pandemic in the amount of $50,000. Administration and planning, management oversight, technical assistance, and preparation of required plans in the amount of $150,300.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland?
Yes.
Resolution, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby authorize the proper city official to accept grant award number 2020-VD-BX-0200 from the Office of Justice Programs, known as OJP, U.S. Department of Justice, known as the DOJ, under the funding opportunity entitled BJA Fiscal Year 20 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program in an amount no less than $169,198. Further, said January 1, 2020 through January 31st, 2022. Even further, that it does hereby authorize the proper city official to execute all documents necessary for and on behalf of the city.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Solicitor? At this time, we'll open up the phone for any persons from the community that might have public comments.
Again, the call-in number is 610-447-7700, extension 7951. Thus far, I hear no call-ins, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. In the meantime, just two quick notes for the listening public and those who are present here today. On the last council meeting, there was a question of a concern about the audio from our meetings, and we have gone through great lengths to make it much, much better. I appreciate the efforts of Ms. Cleveland and others. So we hope that our listening audience are pleased this morning with the sound and the audio coming from our council meeting. Secondly, I and council want to personally thank each and every one, first of all, of our Chester citizens who came out. Over 400 folks came out on yesterday to be tested. We have been trying to get a test site here in the city of Chester under the urging of Councilwoman Williams, Elizabeth Williams, and we finally have a testing site here on yesterday, and over 400 of our citizens showed up for testing. The testing started, well, the lines started around 8 a.m. The testing finished sometime after 5 p.m. We appreciate the efforts of the Black Doctors of Philadelphia, their consortium. They came out in numbers and droves, not only the Black doctors, the nurses, and the students, medical students who came out and assisted them in their effort. This was made a success because they committed themselves to coming out and working in the city of Chester, and they made a commitment that said, we are not leaving till everyone that's in this line is tested, and they stood on their commitment. I want to thank the Laborers Local and the young men and women from the Laborers Local. They opened up their doors and they did a yeoman's job in making sure that everything was done in decency and in order. The citizens appreciated how they provided a safe environment and a calm environment for them to be tested. I also want to thank our very own Chester Health Department, Dr. Hannum, Livia Smith, Rosetta Carter, and others who came out, and what's the nurse's name? Deborah. Deborah came out on yesterday, and Deborah, who is a registered nurse, jumped right in and began to work right alongside the doctors and the nurses. So we appreciate all their, and as well as Dr. Hannah. So we appreciate all their hard work, and also the Office of State Representative Brian Kirkland, who contributed in this effort to make sure that our community was tested. Someone asked me the other day, they said, what do you do when other communities do not come out and support your effort or help you get through what you get through? I told them, you learn how to make bricks without straw. You stop asking and you start doing. And we stopped asking and we started doing. And because we started doing, and it was such a success yesterday, everybody is now looking at Chester and the model that we had here in this city to try to duplicate that in other areas throughout the county. And so I would like to take my hat off to this council, Black Doctors of Philadelphia, Labor's Local 413, State Representative Brian Kirkland's office, and the numerous donors who helped to make this possible by way of their financial donations to the city. Nothing's really free. And so I need to let you know that the Labor's Local 413 donated $10,000, and our efforts went forth to reach out to some of our friends to raise the other $15,000. And we look to duplicate this again here in the city and keep doing it, keep raising the amount of money that's needed until each and every citizen has an opportunity to be tested. And so we just wanted to say thank you to our residents, and thank you to all those persons who may help make this possible. With that said, I want to ask Commissioner Rigby if there's any report that we need to hear from his end as our fire commissioner and our lead person on this pandemic.
Just an update on the cases. We're at 5,136 for the county and 405 deaths, and the city is at 291. Yesterday's event was an outstanding job by the health department and everybody in the background that put that together. We have put in resource request forms for testing kits for the city of Chester through Delaware County Emergency Management as well as PEMA, and I think yesterday's event got the ball moving because it sounds like we have more test kits coming our way. With that said, the County Emergency Management Director was there yesterday to see the mayor and councilman and the health department, and he has assured us he will be there at our next event that we're working on now. So short of that, we're moving towards having another testing event.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. And during this time, it's a very difficult time for some folks because doesn't seem like a lot, but one is too many. And so our condolences go out to those families who have lost loved ones to this pandemic. With that said, any comments from the council? The census. Fill out your census forms. If you don't fill out your census form and you don't send your census form, you're shortchanging yourself and we're shortchanging our community from resources and financial resources as well. This is how we get our roads, our highways, and our bridges rebuilt and funding for them. So we're making a plea. Please, please, please fill out the census form, especially now with the pandemic. You're home. You have nothing else to do. Take your 15 minutes, fill out that form, put it back in the mail so that Chester will get their fair share. Okay? Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to thank Mr. Mark Alexander and Mr. Rodney Robertson for all of their hard work. I have about 4 people who are covering the entire city of Chester, and they're doing the bulk trash, some street repairs, and, you know, they're on the front line with everyone else. And I just want to publicly thank you for your support during this pandemic situation.
We appreciate you guys. We appreciate all of you because we're working with a skeleton crew. And, you know, like I said before, we learn how to make bricks without straw. Keep it moving.
That's right.
If there's no phone comments, no requests, thank you so very much. This meeting is now adjourned.